Okay, guys, we will get started. And if for anybody that arrives late, we will send the recording out tomorrow or the following day to you. So don't worry too much if you miss a couple of minutes, guys. Okay, so you are all very welcome and thank you so much for joining us tonight for this evening's open information session for the Postgrad Cert in Sustainable Development for Business. It's wonderful to see so many attendees here, so thank you for registering and attending. This session will go on for about 30 to 40 minutes. It will be a panel discussion based around providing an overview of this highly practical course. So this is open here in Trinity Business School for application. It's aimed at those that are interested in examining an organization's environmental and societal impact when it comes to sustainability. And it is the leading course of its kind in Ireland for developing this sustainability in business. But before I delve any deeper in that, I will leave it to the experts. So let me introduce you to our panel this evening. We are joined tonight by Programme Director Max Schormar, by leading academic Mary Lee Rhodes, and by Gavin Pattison, one of our current students who is very busy between his full-time job and finishing up this course, which will end in June this year. And then also closer to the end of the call, we'll be joined by Marissa Ronan, one of our graduates from the intake in 21-22. So we'll hear from Marissa a little later on. So as we go through this session, I will put questions to each of our panel here to understand better the course from those that lead out on it and also hearing from that student voice. If we have time at the end, I invite you, our attendees, to post your questions into the chat and we will endeavour to try to answer them. However, if we run out of time, I would invite you to please post any and all queries to me at jane.flanagan@tcd.ie and I can get back to you in due course. So let me just pop that in the, I'm just going to pop my email into the chat before we go any further. Bear with me a second. There you go. So again, if we don't get time, do send your queries on to me and I'll be very happy to answer them. So Max, I will go to you first as the program director of this course. Thank you for being here. Could I start really by asking you to give me and give us a brief overview of the course? Just bear with me a second. I'm going to see if this works.
Yes, now it works.
Perfect. Sorry about that.
The
Max.
wonderful unmute problem. So for some reason, I wasn't able to unmute myself, but now, fortunately, this works. So very warm welcome also from my side. I'm happy to talk a little bit about the program. So thanks for joining. Thanks for your interest in the program. So as Jane already said, I'm the program director, and I'm happy to walk you through the core modules and the structure of this program. So we have the program runs across basically 9 months. We start in October and finish in June. And the formula we have for this program is that we meet once a month on Thursday and a half Thursday from 3 to 7 and a full Friday, apart from the kickoff session in October where we also have a Saturday. Otherwise, it is this formula where we meet. And across this journey, we have several modules that cover the important areas of sustainable development for business. So we have a module in collaboration with the School of Psychology. So it's also sort of an interdisciplinary faculty that delivers the program. Sam Cromie is the module leader for that. And that module talks about organizational, contextual, and societal factors influencing sustainability and change management. So it is a good introduction into core themes of sustainable development for business. to start and set out the program journey for everyone. We then have a module called Practical Toolkit for Sustainable Business. That's a module that I am delivering. And there the idea is to discuss and apply core tools that are in part coming from academia and in part coming from business practice, which are currently being used by the leading companies in that space to advance the sustainability agenda. So we are looking at basically a toolbox of concepts and frameworks that are the most relevant ones out there to advance sustainable business conduct. Then we have a module on reporting. So sustainability measurement and reporting. And as you know, that is a big area at the moment with the upcoming European CSRD directive coming into force, which will mean many more companies need to report on sustainability than it had this requirement before. And so getting an overview of the most important reporting frameworks and how reporting and measurement works is part of this module. And then we have Mary Lee's module on purpose-driven system change. I won't talk about that module in depth because Mary Lee is fortunately with us and can explain this much more. Just to say, a systems perspective is in a sense at the core of sustainability, because if you want a sustainable business, it will require you to adopt a systems perspective and embed your organization into a wider societal context. And then we have the final module, which is the project module. It runs across the full year with the idea that every participant applies the learnings as you go along into your own context and organization and realize a project that delivers value in relation to sustainability for your organization. So these are the modules that we have, and the overall journey then it goes from October to June of the following year. So with that, I hand back to Jane.
Thank you, Max. Thank you. And I know that was really something that we did a bit of research on before landing on that Thursday afternoon and the Friday, so that these busy executives, can try to fit it in. We all know that, it's hard to get away from the office and the desk and so on. So thank you for that and the breakdown of the modules. Might I ask you as well, Max, while I have you, who is the type of participant that we're looking for, or who is this course aimed at? Do you have to be working in sustainability, or is there a particular type of participant that is ideally suited to this program?
Yes, thanks. So I think this program really is requiring a lot of prior knowledge on sustainability. So you don't have to be an expert to join the program. The point of the program is really to get you up to speed with sustainability. Some participants bring in already knowledge in the area, and that's obviously great, and they will be able to build on that, but it's not a requirement. So we are targeting experienced managers from different functions, CSR and sustainability certainly, but also legal and compliance or procurement, operations, external affairs. All of these areas can be suitable, but also experienced senior executives and more senior management, where they now see this as an upcoming issue they need to build expertise on. And that's also something that we're clearly seeing an interest in. Many more companies now start to think about sustainability, and so this course really is aimed at delivering core insights that can help an organization to get on the sustainability journey and become a sustainable organization. So that, and also in terms of you can also come from a public sector organization or a non-profit organization for this course. So it's also not necessarily only the traditional for-profit business that can attend this course.
Excellent, Max. Yeah, and I know that that's one of the great advantages of the course as well, is that our participants on past courses have often been from a variety of industries, and that really lends itself well to that peer-to-peer learning, that is a part of the course. So thank you for that. Mary Lee, I might go to you if, and I think you should be able to unmute yourself this time, so apologies. Mary Lee, you deliver out on the systemic change module that Max mentioned. Could you tell us a little bit more about that, or the importance of that?
Sorry, I launched into it before unmuting myself. Apologies. Thanks for inviting me on this, Jane and Max, because I really love this course, and I think it is just one of the best things we've introduced in my 25 years in Trinity College, where I'm in the business school and currently director of research for the school. And I think the module comes from my research. So that's a important thing, is this is based on many, many years of working in public management, which is my field, and the recognition that understanding organizational phenomena as systems, as interlocking parts with outcomes that are both anticipated and not anticipated, and feedback processes that result in things that we might not have thought were going to happen. This perspective of seeing things as systems is absolutely vital to solving the problems that we are facing as we try to unpick 250 years of industrial revolution, change, growth, and impact on our world. And without having a kind of a very structured approach to seeing all of the various parts of the system that we might need to not just understand but change, is a core spine, I'd like to think, of a course like this one. So the purpose-driven systems course starts in the first semester with just an introduction about what are systems, how do we see them, how you might kind of interrogate the system that you are working in, getting the students to start to think about seeing phenomena that they're interested in as systems, and start to challenge also maybe what they assumed was in front of them in their own work and in the problems they're addressing. And then we work through a series of tools that help students, first of all, define the system, understand its purpose, and then look at it in a way that allows people to intervene. And usually it's groups of people to intervene in order to achieve a change that is defined as a problem in this purpose-driven system. And that heats up, and I'm sure Gavin will support me here to say that it gets quite intense in the second part of the semester as the students form groups to address a problem that they think needs addressing in a domain of human activity that they choose in the first term. So this year's group chose food systems as the area of human activity and interlocking socio-technical systems that they would try and see them as systems and propose changes to. And then they work through this. We have a couple of interactions where people are going down a path and then they realize that path isn't going to work so well. They can use some of the tools that Max talked about, so they can bring tools from other parts of the course, and some of the students do that very, very effectively. And then they present and we chat about them and we congratulate each other on a very intense but also insight-bringing exercise in seeing our world in a different way, but seeing it with the purpose in mind to actually make systemic change. And that's what this course does.
Fantastic. And probably, yeah, one of the more challenging modules, I would imagine, just because, it's driving that long-term change as well, long-lasting change, and that shift in mindset. And it sounds like it goes very well alongside Sam Cromie's module as well, or his work on that shifting mindsets, that psychological shift that you need. So thank you for that insight into your module, Mary Lee. I might jump over to you, Gavin. This is all very much fresh in your head, I'd imagine, given that you're probably knee deep into your action project at the moment. Maybe can I ask what attracted you to the course, maybe in the first place? Why you decided, and maybe if you wouldn't mind, Gavin, you might tell us like your role and where you work, because I didn't do that at the outset, and then just kind of give us some context for what attracted you to the course in the first place.
Sure. Yeah. So so Gavin Patterson, I head up the environmental health, safety, and security team in a global pharmaceutical company, Alchemies. And I guess what attracted me to the course was I've been working in kind of engineering and EHS or EHS risk management spaces for many years, and I have a strong interest in sustainability. And over the last couple of years, sustainability has become more and more bolted into my job. So my first exposure to the Trinity Business School in the sustainability space was doing the micro-credentials course with Max. We did that May, June last year, I think, Max, and absolutely loved it. And I guess that helped broaden the horizon from just the kind of the narrower environmental sustainability focus to more covering the social and the governance aspects of the full gambit of what is ESG or sustainability. So that kind of whetted the appetite to do a little bit more in this space, and also understanding that this is probably one of the most pressing issues of our time. Business needs to get more sustainable. We need to act more responsibly, collectively, do our bit in society, do our bit for environment. And the pressure is coming from regulatory angles. It's coming from investor pressure. It's coming from the kind of the court of public opinion. Our employees want companies to do more in this space. So it's an important space. So I wanted to broaden my horizons. As I say, the micro-credentials course whetted my appetite. I wanted to I kind of looked at a number of different courses, but this is the one that landed best for me because it touches on so many different areas. It talks about, as Max and Mary Lee says, it touches on performance measurement. It talks about an understanding of the global context. It talks about how do you use systems to drive change. Social psychology, organizational psychology, change management, they're all principles that kind of bake into this. So that was a really attractive option, and I have absolutely zero regrets. I'm still in the process, as you say, Jane. I'm still doing my SIA project, but and it's just been a fantastic experience in that regard. So I made the right choice, and I think it's been a very gratifying and very rewarding experience in that respect.
Thank you. Thanks, Gavin, for that. And you touched on our creating value at the ESG course. So often we have participants go from one to the other. So that's a short 4-day course that is also run twice a year. So please, if you're interested, come to me about that one as well. I can give you dates, and it's a very simple application process to go through to get there. But it's really just a primer for this course. You look at a lot of that same content, but you delve into it a lot deeper, obviously, on the postgraduate cert, but do come to me if you want to learn more about that one. And Gavin, maybe I know that with this course, there's a focus on developing a community of practitioners, and future leaders in sustainability. And that's really something that we encourage and promote here in Trinity Executive Education. Could you speak a little bit to any networking or relationship building that happened throughout your participation on the course?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been one of the most surprising elements of doing the PhD cert is that there's I don't know how many people there are in the course, but there's not one of us from the same industry. Which is remarkable when you look at that statistically. That's a remarkable fact of the course, and remarkably there's maybe one or two in the same kind of general line of work, but not in the same line of work. So there's a huge diversity of experience, and as Max and Mary Lee outlined. You've got people coming fresh into this because they're interested in the space, and you've got people like me who want to broaden their knowledge from the environmental focus to say taking into account social and governance factors. But you've really got people from such a wide range of industry, business, all levels. It's applicable to all levels. You've got public, private sector folks on it, and I think the diversity of people adds to diversity of opinion. It adds to diversity of knowledge and experience, and what you find is this real camaraderie that builds between the students, where somebody's got something insightful to bring to whether it's a piece about project work or whether it's a piece of class activity, and you get this wonderful kind of flux of ideas and knowledge sharing, so that you get very much a peer-to-peer learning. You know, the one thing about our class is that we're all connected on WhatsApp, so several times a day that goes off. So somebody's got something to share, and that's both current thinking, and I mean, it was great this last weekend where the class rallied around an Irish Times sustainability conference about particularly geared around climate change. So a number of the class went to that, and so I think we've got this kind of network, this community of practice, which has naturally grown out of the class. We're all helping each other. That spirit of camaraderie and kind of kinship that that develops as part of this has been a remarkable thing. So I think we're going to have we're going to have this network that continues beyond the course for a long time. Of course, being the college type setting, there's always always kind of the end of lecture fun as well. So we go out for food and drinks, and
there's a pub on campus.
There's a pub on campus, which is very convenient for the Trinity Business School.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Gavin. That was really interesting, really helpful. So maybe I'll finish up with one final question to you. Have you? And I know it's still ongoing. And hello to Marissa. I see that you're joining us, so you're very welcome. And I'll come to you in just a few moments. Thank you. But have you, Gavin, been able to, apply any of the learnings thus far into your role? Like without going into any detail now, I don't want to put you on the spot. But have you been able to apply what you're learning in your role in sustainability as you've been going through the course?
Yeah, so a couple of things I'll call out there. I think the most profound thing that's happened with in terms of the depth of knowledge that you gather and the experience and the practical aspects combined with the academic piece, and something that Mary Lee said before is really important to come back to, that it is Trinity, it is an academic institution, so you get a real deep knowledge of the theories, the research. You're encouraged to put your own time into researching to make sure that the classroom activities really land in terms of your toolkit and what you bring into business. And maybe just to kind of call out in terms of, probably one of the most challenging things done in the course, but also one of the most beneficial, was the systems approach that Mary Lee introduced. And it's actually just opened up the whole world of how do you approach complex problem solving. And it's within that space, I've now factored that into how I approach problem solving in work. A lot of the content that you cover is immediately applicable in the workplace. And I think probably the one thing I'll say is that doing the course has given me a lot of confidence in what I know and what I've learned and what I've applied. To have some of the discussions I need to have in the workplace. So I sit in the company's executive ESG committee. I'm probably one of the most confident in the subject area now because of the course, and it's given me that kind of knowledge and toolkit to come into those discussions. And because it's not just my more narrow environmental focus, because it's also in the S and the G, the social and governance space, I'm able to challenge in those spaces as well. And so those kind of conversations are happening very regular as we pivot as we change, as evolve as a business, and we enhance our profile and responsibility actions in this space. So it's really kind of added to my confidence to have those discussions. I feel kind of indebted to the course for having been equipped and to have that, and I think that's I'm grateful for that now. So it's definitely changed the way I think, do, and act.
Excellent, Gavin. Thanks for that. That's really valuable. And yes, this whole area, as Max said, is of growing importance. And having a qualification is of growing importance, because this is, as I mentioned, long-lasting change. So it is great to have courses like this, available to provide that learning and that knowledge for long-lasting change in the organization. So thanks so much for your insights, Gavin. They're much appreciated. I might just head over to Marissa, and welcome again, Marissa. So I was going to ask you, Marissa, were there elements of the program that were relevant to you in your role? And maybe you'd introduce yourself and kind of tell us what you do and where you're from, and were you able to really take some of the elements from the course and bring them back into the organization.
Thanks very much, Jane. In terms of my role, I work in Microsoft, and in a new position as of the last month or so. I'm the Global Leadership Development Lead in Cloud Operations and Innovation. My background is academic, and I was in Trinity in the Centre for Environmental Studies, or Environmental Humanities rather. And being in Microsoft, I thought there is such an investment in sustainability. In fact, we have a Sustainability in Action badge that all employees across Microsoft are encouraged to attain. And for myself, you know, coming into the tech sector, I was really interested in getting that business insight, and saw for my own future within Microsoft that it would help no matter what role I would go into. And I think for many people, you know, that might be pursuing Trinity's Sustainable Development and Business course, we're going to see more and more roles across the board in sustainability. And so it's such a valuable element to have on your CV, even if your role might not be directly associated with sustainability. The likelihood is that we're going to see that as a skill set that is sought more and more. And even since I thought about joining the course and to now, the escalation, I suppose, or the acceleration of interest in sustainability as a key has advanced at a rate that's really even surprised me. Why I wanted to do this course, it kind of married a lot of elements that I was interested in. And I was looking ahead for my own career and seeing what was going on within Microsoft, how I could ensure that I was positioning myself for future opportunities, and knowing the commitment to sustainability that Microsoft has as a company. And I was right. So a lot of the roles that came about more recently have had a sustainability focus. And I'm seeing more broadly, like Satya Nadella, highlighting how those skills are so needed, and that currently within the kind of talent acquisition space, a lot of people don't necessarily have them as of yet. So there is a real skills need. So doing a course like this is of great value so that we can future-proof our organizations when it comes to sustainability, and I'd argue as well our own careers. So even if your role isn't directly associated with sustainability, having, you know, that framework and that lens, and really we all should have, like diversity and inclusion, or even well-being, we should all have that understanding about the breadth of sustainability. So I've utilised, I suppose, more as an advocate in this space, the learnings that I gained doing the course in Trinity Business School. What I was really fascinated about was how advanced the work is here, you know, academically, and, you know, how we can employ and embed some of those learnings in our organizations. I really enjoyed the peer-to-peer learning element. This started my course during COVID. And so, you know, the early stage of the program, it was difficult. We were all online all day and then going on to the sessions. But I think what's been wonderful about the program is getting on site and having that on-site element and learning and that exchange of knowledge, and really understanding and gaining a perspective about how other organizations, be they SMEs or larger multinationals, what they're looking to do, I think really was really fascinating, and it increased, I think, my own learning. So I was able to take elements from the course and then be able to kind of think about how they might be applied outside my own maybe interest or role in Microsoft. And so looking at the trends, I found fascinating, those real broad trends that we're seeing here in sustainability, and how ahead of the curve Trinity were in you know, creating this program before this big rise in sustainable development for business has emerged since. But lots of ways that I've drawn on those perspectives in my everyday role.
Fantastic, Marissa. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for that. And yes, absolutely. Trinity Business School, it's all about transforming business for good. And we're able to develop programs like this through the research from, you know, people like Mary Lee and all our fantastic academics, Max and so on, that to contribute on this course and many of our other courses. And we have courses, you know, in sustainable development for business. There's another course in creating value at ESG, another course in business and human rights. So these topics are hugely trending at the moment, and they're only, as I say, of growing importance. So thank you for kind of going into that in a bit more detail. I see that we're catching up on ourselves in terms of time, and we have one question in the Q&A which I would like to address. So I might put this to you, Max. Is the course appropriate for those relatively new to the area of ESG but hoping to get their first ESG role?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as Jane, you were saying, we also have the Creating Value for ESG short course. So that would give sort of a concise introduction into the topic of ESG. And the longer course sort of obviously gives more depth to the different elements of ESG, the environmental, social, and governance components. You have more time. You can actually also develop your profile on a deeper level also with the project. So you can position yourself, and we actually had participants also last year getting into a new role, exactly what you were saying, during the program, when they were able in the sort of application process to show some of the insights they have gained, and then directly sort of work on a new project in a new role, and using that opportunity to embed this new role and project also into the program journey as the in-action project. So this is absolutely so. As I said in the beginning, this course is not set up in a way that you need to be already a sustainability manager, an ESG manager, and have prior knowledge. That's not necessary. If you have it, it's certainly great, but the modules are set up in a way that you get sort of the basics and then can build on that as we go along the learning journey over these months that we are together as a group.
Thank you, Max. And I see we have, that's Brian saying thank you. So you're very welcome, Brian. And just as we finish up, I wanted to briefly touch upon the application process, which is very straightforward to apply. So the first step in that process is and I'm actually going to post it in the chat now, bear with me 1 second, but to apply through the TCD portal, anybody that is applying is obviously becomes a fully fledged student of Trinity College. So in order for that to happen, give me a second. We need to get you through the TCD portal. So the first step there is clicking on that link and uploading a CV qualification just to show that you have a level 8 or higher degree qualification or something equivalent. Again, come to me if you have any questions around that. 2 references, and then we'll be back on to you. I'll be back on to you in no time at all, just regarding the next steps. What I'd like to say before we finish up this call is I really would encourage early application. We're already at the end of May, start of June. The closing date for this course is the end of July. And what we do is we assess candidates. We have a small group. We want the right candidates with a demonstrated, interest in this subject matter. Yeah, as I say, places are kind of offered out on an ongoing rolling basis. So the sooner your application is in, the better chance you have to secure a place, and the more time we'll have together to kind of discuss that application or any other questions that you might have. So even if you're starting an application and you don't have all those documents, at least register your interest so that we can start that conversation. So we have, just bear with me, do we have one more question in? We don't. So I will leave it there. I will say thank you to our wonderful panel and to our fantastic attendees who have been listening attentively. Thank you for being here. If you have any questions that you want to send to me directly, please do so. I'd be happy to receive them. And we hope to receive an application from you. The very best of luck in all your endeavours and in trying to promote sustainability wherever you go. And thanks, guys. And I'll talk to you all again soon.
Many thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.